Yo, what's up guys? It is GameLover6789 here, and welcome to the video. So I just wanted to update y'all before we start with this video. I will be bringing back daily streams soon and daily vlogs. I'm trying to get my life situated, got a full-time job, getting my own apartment in a month. It's a whole big ordeal, but today we're going to recap Season 1 of the originals. If you guys are new, every single time we finish a season for our big shows, such as the Vampire Diaries or now the originals, we'll recap each and every one of the seasons. We did one for all 8 seasons of the Vampire Diaries, and now that we're here, we're going to do one for the originals. So, feel free to subscribe, like this video, all that good stuff, and, yeah. So, yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over some of the talking points. I took notes from each of the episodes to kind of just hunker down and recap everything. We're going to have our in memoriam for all the characters that died during this first season. Favorite episode, favorite scene, most heartbreaking scene, funniest scene, favorite kiss, favorite kill, and favorite character. And obviously this is just the first season, so we can't rank the seasons. But, yeah, let's just get into it. And, yeah, that's all I got. I don't know. So, the originals. And I'll give my general thoughts at the end of it. The originals. The opening episode is a recap of what we see in Season 4, right? Klaus is learning about the baby, not wanting it, not wanting the power. Uno reverse. Now he wants the kid. We've seen this episode twice now. Apparently Marcel has a thing where he has power over the witches. And what that is a super young little girl named Davina, who is all-powerful, all-encompassing the harvest, witches, and all this random shit. Haley had a plan to, abort her baby. Doesn't happen, though. This leads to, showing both Haley and Klaus how important this baby is to him. Klaus reveals that he gave Elijah to Marcel to calm some nerves, but now Marcel has an original and is looking for a way to kill them. Which, in hindsight, obviously going out to the rest of all these notes and everything, they never really learn how to do so. I think Davina eventually does. If eventually she learns a little bit about with Michael, and I think she will learn about the White Oak Stake, but at this point Marcel has no clue. Rebecca learns about a girl named Cammy, and the secret weapon which known as Davina. Stronger than an original. Her and Klaus are going to come together to get back New Orleans in the name of family. Klaus puts together a master plan to sacrifice Katie, this is his dude Thierry's love, so Sophie can do a spell at the same time in order to locate Klaus. Oh wait, to locate Elijah, sorry. He's planting the seeds, he's playing a master plan here, right? Along with Rebecca, who invited Cammy out to this party with Marcel, was throwing where she went in some aggression firsthand, kind of put a standoff to show Marcel doesn't matter, and then a smash anyways. Klaus' game's kind of going as planned. He gets Katie to use her magic. Right before she kills Marcel, she had a chance to do so, he snaps her shit up, right? Now he looks like he just saved Marcel's life. Now Marcel wants to hand over Elijah because of all that stuff going on, but Davina still wants him so she can learn how to kill an original. We also learned that Rebecca and Marcel had a thing back in the day. He was out here looking like Lionel Richie, but with that no-go. And Klaus looks at him as a son. All I'm saying, vampires could have stopped slavery. 100%. Little bit of compulsion, they didn't. Fuck them. Well, all these events played out. Haley learned that her baby is a girl, and she tried to decode a chant from the witch. This weird witch knew who Elijah was. She's walking around. Her name's maybe it's Maybelline Sabeline? Yeah. Klaus building his game board now wants to crack Davina. He wants to crack at Davina. He compels Cammy to get in close, get information. When she does, this leads to her old friend Tim getting in harm's way. Tim being Davina's little crush, little middle school crush. Now they're a little bit older, she's like, oh my god, he plays the violin at a bar somehow. We see Davina's powers, and Klaus uses Tim as a bargaining chip, maybe turning her against Marcel. And meanwhile, Rebecca finds the addict she was looking for and has a brain meeting with Elijah. You know what? I'm trying to make a truce with Davina. Don't pull me out the box just yet. There's this old-ass witch named Agnes who's been causing trouble the entire time. On the other hand, she lured Haley into a trap. Turns out the baby inside of Haley can actually heal her, which is beautiful. And Elijah mentions that removing dagger notifies the effects. So if you stab one of these daggers dipped in the ashes, and you pull it out, it nullifies. Even it takes them longer to regenerate, but you have to just re-dip it into the potion, and then, We learn about Cammie's brother who murdered a bunch of people in the church, fucking lost his shit, went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but what really happened was a witch put a hex on him. Now, she's going through all this pain, that's the reason she's staying in New Orleans, and we get Klaus second pills and takes this memory away from her, and she swears vengeance on her culprit, basically. We would actually learn who did this in the next episode, talking about Sean, her brother, with the hex. We learn about the harvest. At every season series, the witches offer up 4 young witches to die. And then they be reborn. Davina was the only one who survives, and she absorbed the power from another 3 witches, so she was kind of all-powerful here for a while. Elijah offers up some of his mother's grimoires pages for freedom, and Davina accepts it. Elijah gave her a page of an unlinking spell to free Haley from the link with Sophie, because Sophie put a spell to protect herself. Anything happens to me happens to Haley and the baby. Elijah promises Sophie Klaus won't kill Agnes, but promises nothing about him. When they get out of the pool, that leads to Elijah snapping Agnes up right in the church. He promised her no harm will come to Agnes by my brother's hand. Rebecca has some 100-year later relationship breakup sex with Marcel and gives him an apple, which leads him to Klaus's house because the apple was at a plantation which Marcel used to be at when he was a young child. Klaus, being as fucked up as it is, chose the plantation to stay there in the new century because it ended up being the last place Marcel would ever look. It's kind of smart, also kind of cool. It appears Marcel has taken Haley, but he didn't. At the end of that episode, we thought he took her. Turns out he did not. It looks like old bitch face took Haley. And he's been accusing Klaus of using the baby to build a hybrid army, which isn't a thought that Klaus ever had in his brain. Everybody accused him of it. So you give Klaus ideas, you throw these accusations, eventually it'll lead to him actually doing the damn thing. Anyways, Elijah confronts Klaus about the possible army, leading to him getting bitten. Elijah, right there. Now Bitchface drops the knowledge of the pregnant werewolf to Marcel. Now Marcel himself has been trying to flip these chessboards, and by removing the compulsion from Josh, and turning Rebecca against her big brother. Now Rebecca's full team Marcel at this point, and they use Josh as a ploy to lure Klaus in, but it backfires, right? Because episode 8, it backfires completely as the hybrid inside of Klaus wakes up and murders everyone, until Marcel picks up a coin, pledging his allegiance to Klaus. Much like Marcel made made old girl pick up the coin, and yeah, led to Josh being a character. Elijah bonds more with Haley, who finally meets somebody from her family. Cammie figures out that her non-compelled self knows that she knows Klaus and Marcel, so she's trying to put together the pieces as well. Skip ahead here, because Davina gets her to a certain point where she has to be sacrificed. She's throwing up dirt, air, and water, leading to the end days type scenario. The plan's to kill her to complete the harvest, and they will be resurrected. And they kill Davina, and she doesn't wake. Come to find out, during all this, they had to bury we learn about Elijah's old flame named Celeste, that of course Klaus killed, and they went to get her bones to kind of help complete with the harvest, but they couldn't really get nothing out of it. Haley kind of betrayed Elijah's trust a little bit, but they ended up being fine, whatever. But, come to find out, Sabeline was actually Celeste the whole time. She bounces back and forth out of different bodies. Wild shit. The 4 witches that were supposed to come back didn't, and instead Celeste and, had all this power to bring back the 4 others. One of them being Papa Tunde, someone Klaus has killed before, who was sacrificing people to get more power. Basically, Papa Tunde goes around stabbing people with the knife to power the knife to help put down an original. 3 witches end up capturing Klaus at one point, thanks to Sophie stabbing him with this blade. And then Rebecca gets attacked by wolves. Now, this leads to Celeste telling Elijah he has a choice to make, whether to save Klaus, Rebecca, or Haley. Haley's in a house fire with all the other werewolves, right? And, of course, Haley being pregnant with the baby, that's who Elijah goes and saves. But then again, he didn't know where Klaus and Rebecca was in the first place. So he goes and saves Haley. One of these bitches that just came back, red-haired girl named Gingivitis, Genevieve Benevine, she has taken both of them. And now she's dropped exposition to Klaus that back in the day, Rebecca is the reason that Michael came back to hunt his son, Klaus. Rebecca and Marcel plotted against Klaus. Klaus is having a moment back in the day where he's like, Rebecca, I'm tired of you running around behind my back. You and Marcel can be together. I don't care. But it was too late. She had already called Michael. And now this deceit and lies, right to Klaus himself, has taken place. And now he wants revenge. Now, a lot of people were upset with me because I said, let it go, 100 years ago, you know? You got some made up at this point. People were like, that's his abuser? I get it at that point. Makes perfect sense that it's his abuser, he's all this trauma with it, I get it. Pushed him out of his home, everything else. For me, personally, this is, if I was Klaus, not Klaus himself, how he should feel. Me, personally. 100 years ago, me and my sister have been cool since. I've been put in a box a couple times. I'm like, damn, you did that? That's crazy shit. If I find out one of my friends is the reason the ex broke up with me, sent me to therapy, I'd be like, hey man, that's some shitty stuff. We cool now though, that was 20 years ago. I don't know. Just my thought process, I'm too laid back. What else we got here? So because of the pain that Klaus was put through, he now reveals that he has a white oak stake and he's going after Rebecca, and they end up getting locked in the cemetery with Klaus there, Klaus, Elijah, and Rebecca. Elijah's kind of protecting Rebecca at all costs, and it leads to a back and forth conversation, a lot of putting the grievances out in the open. And Klaus frees Rebecca and basically tells her, go be your own person, go do you, and I love you and support you always. They end up getting back home, and with everything going on, Elijah exiles Marcel. You're not allowed here. You're not allowed here at all. Davina comes back at a certain point. I don't remember watching her take her breath and waking back up in episode 15. I must have not been paying attention. I honestly thought they just cut and she was just back from her thing. So, during this little witch celebration, right, everybody's getting gifts, except for Davina. They're trying to send a point to her for some reason. Klaus is giving her only gifts that she gets, and that's a recipe for daylight rings for her friends, for the vampires, especially Josh. This leads to Marcel bringing in some drummers who cut themselves to lure out the vampire blood crave. All these vampires attack these people. Marcel strikes first. Elijah sends a message to Klaus saying if you want something, he'll take it, in regards to his relationship and his standoffish being around Haley, because they both want each other, and he hasn't done it from out of respect for Klaus. Transition to the bio, where the motorcyclist ends up being a suicide bomber with a tank full of wolfsbane. Come to find out that this was actually Oliver working with Francesca to kind of rally up the werewolves. But instead, it looks like it's a huge attack that put Haley's life in danger, killed a couple people. Oliver ended up killing Eve with a pillow. So now Klaus and Elijah are looking to see who did this. They blame Marcel. It wasn't. They blame whoever the fuck else. It wasn't them. Who was it? It was Oliver. And nobody knows. So Haley, not knowing that she confronts Marcel, learns about a new family. In season 1, episode 19, was all about Kieran. So we transition into this because Kieran had a hex put on him, just like his nephew Sean did. This hex leads to his death, and Klaus has ended up turning him into a vampire, so Cammy can say goodbye. And when he awoke as a vampire, he still had the hex. Tries to kill Cammy. Klaus steps up and finishes the job. That episode ended with Elijah saying if you had to pick one side, then cheers to victory and toast to his brother Klaus as tensions start flaring between Klaus versus Marcel. Now Klaus lifts Marcel's exile for 24 hours to come comfort Cammy and to come pay respects to his friend Kieran, which was very sweet. While Kieran being laid to rest, Klaus reveals he's having nightmares about Michael, something that Elijah is also having as well. With the other side splitting over in the latter half of season 5 of the Vampire Diaries. Michael is trying to make his way back. One of the things I don't like is characters like that coming back because their story already ran their course. It's not like a surprise character. It's not like seeing Doc Ock in the new Spider-Man from Spider-Man 2 blending with the multiverse. That character, you can say a story was told, but at the same time, there was more left to be discovered about that character. So, I don't know. It works sometimes, but other times it don't. Both Haley and Davina have a confrontation with them, with the latter in a position to bring him back, being Michael, being able to bring him back. Elijah and Haley finally have a moment with a kiss. Beautiful, loved it. It wasn't as impactful as like a Steph and Caroline moment, but it was definitely nice to watch. While Klaus and Marcel, they have a nice chat before going to war. Klaus tells him, I would expect nothing less for you than to bring your A game. So Marcel has a plan to lure Klaus away from his home and leave Elijah with all the other wolves. He wants to go in quick and fast. They want to kill the witch. Now, they send some wolves out to get some whatever the fuck the Blackstones are called. They get captured by Marcel. It kind of wants interference. Marcel knows what's going on because at this moment it's Marcel and his rat pack of werewolves versus the originals, the witches, the werewolves, and the humans. It's a lopsided event. They go in, Marcel's plan works, he lures Klaus away. They go fight, throw a couple jabs at each other. I think Klaus gets the best of him, but Marcel also lays his shit into. Elijah, on the other hand, is slaughtering vampires. And they leave Haley to watch Genevieve perform a spell for the Moonlight Wing, so these werewolves can turn at will, basically. Now, so also standing up there is Francesca, who Cammy learns is an original Guerrero wolf. She uses the stones, double crosses, they incapacitate Haley. She gets the wolves, they do more damage to the vampires. During all this, Haley is taken by Genevieve. Genevieve goes with the other harvest witches to try and sacrifice and deliver her baby and sacrifice it. Klaus's blood has been weakened because of a spell to make the rings. When he goes in to save his baby, the baby is delivered, as Klaus kind of very poetically is crucified up at the walls of the churches. The baby is born. She has to hold her baby. They let her for a second, and then Monique slits Haley's throat. Elijah's wondering how his brother, the all-powerful original, was bested. They go on a search in the cemetery to see where the sacrificial harvest ritual thing is going on. There's a huge cloaking spill. Everything is cloaked, and it's a giant mirage. They cut back to Haley. She awakes because when she died, she still had the baby's blood in her system. She's in transition. If she drinks the blood of her child, she'll become a hybrid. With all this going on, Davina looks to bring back Michael. And which she does. And Michael also feasts on these vampires. And then Davina locks him up in the attic just as she once was. They end up finding the sacrifice. They stop it. Marcel shows up and intervenes. And then steals the baby. He stole the baby, not to hurt him, but just so Klaus would heal his friends and himself. Klaus, realizing this heals Marcel, he has no idea who finished off these other vampires, but he does promise Marcel that whoever did this, whoever is going against them, they will pay. And then Klaus holds his child for the first time, and then cures Marcel. Watching the whole time was Michael, before he got locked up in the attic, discussing what to do with the baby would also be hunted, what to do with it. Haley comes up with an idea to hide the child, essentially. They're going to fake the death of the child. They're going to present it as dead. Marcel agrees to be compelled by Klaus, and then tells the wolves that they're the reason Klaus's child is dead, putting the fear of God in their hearts. Elijah and Haley take their mourning and grieving public with the fallen child, while Klaus takes his beautiful daughter and delivers her to the one person who can watch over her for the time being, and that is Rebecca. Gives the baby over to Rebecca and also gives her a knife he carved for her when she was a little kid. And yeah. Beforehand, though, Haley drank a little bit of blood from the baby's finger. Pretty much she's now a hybrid just like Klaus. And then Klaus, Elijah, Haley, and Marcel, all on the same team, look to go up against the wolves and Francesca. And that is season 1 of the originals. For a little award ceremony type deal, let's go from the bottom to the top, shall we? Favorite kill of the show. Here's your nominees. Klaus kills the slave owner with a rock. It was beautiful. Klaus killing Katie. Elijah killing Agnes and the people at the church. Or Klaus killing the vampires in season 1, episode 8. I'm going to say my favorite kill was actually Klaus killing the vampires in season 1, episode 8. It was an amazing kill. I'll have to go with that. Favorite kiss will have to be Rebecca and Marcel when she was leaving, or in season 1, episode 19, Elijah and Haley. Elijah and Haley wins by a landslide. By a fucking landslide. Elijah and Haley. Only have 2 nominees for funniest scene. There was a bunch, but only took down 2 notes. Rebecca throwing the pencil at Klaus early on was super funny, brother-sister type of comedy. Klaus talking about Rebecca's love life was hilarious. Most heartbreaking scene, Klaus erasing Cammie's memories about her brother. And then I have, from episode 11, Klaus embracing Marcel with the hug after Davina's death. That one almost got tear from me, while Klaus erasing Cammie's memories hurt. Watching him embrace Marcel with the hug after that death was impactful. Favorite scene, Elijah carrying and Jaina's corpse to be buried. Elijah coming up with a plan to get Sophie. Klaus slaughtering the Marcel vampires in episode 8. Episode 10, Davina defeating Klaus, Elijah, and Marcel. Or episode 19, Klaus lifting Marcel's exile for 24 hours. My favorite scene, season 1, episode 8, Klaus slaughtering all of them vampires, kicking in with his hybrid form and going ham bony wagon. 10 out of 10. Favorite episode. This is all the episodes I listed that I really enjoyed. Episode 6, 8, 10, 11, 14, 16, and 19. That is in order: Fruit of the Poison Tea, The River in Reverse, Casket Girls, A Primo Deluge, A Long Way Back from Hell, Farewell to Storyville, and An Unblinking Death. I'm going to give it to episode 8. And, yeah. It was just solid. Favorite character for the season is gonna be a shocking answer. First time winner in either show. I'm giving it to Elijah for season 1 as my favorite character. Hands down. Elijah. To wrap up the video here, guys, for In Memoriam. Rest in peace to the following characters: Jane Ann Devereaux, the Marcel Vampires, Tina McGreevy, Katie, Thierry, Sean, Monique and the Harvest Witches, Them Church People, Agnes, Duane, Celeste, the Vampires Klaus slaughtered, Corporal Dickhead and the Human Faction, the 3 witches Davina wrecked, Tim, Davina herself even though she comes back, Papa Toon Day ×2, and the flashback and in real time, Sophie, all the 1919 flu patients, Luna, Celeste again, we did the flashback and now this one, Bastiana / Mama Jones, the drummers, Thierry, again, Eve, Father Kieran, the Gumbo Janitor, Marcel's vampires that Elijah, Michael, and the werewolves killed, Abigail, Monique, Genevieve, and actually Diego, who I didn't really like at first, but kind of grew on me, the big flop little asshole. So all those people, rest in peace. And that is season 1 of the originals. Overall thought, I really like it. If I had to compare it to season 1 of the Vampire Diaries, I would probably like the Vampire Diaries season 1 more, because I'm learning the characters for the first time. And it's a lot more of like drama, connections. This is a lot of exposition on some heavier stuff for these characters. I don't like that they're going back to the Esther. Trying to think too at the end of this show, Esther is there basically. I don't like that we're going back to that. Esther and Michael, we've been there and done that. I really hope in episode 1 of season 2 we get some answers, because it takes place after the other side breaks. We'll see if that bleeds into the story at all. I would like them to do fresh stuff. The baby with Rebecca is nice, and we'll just see where the story goes. So with that in mind, I'm keeping this under 30 minutes. Again, I will be doing a review of every single season of the originals. There's 5 seasons of the originals. I'm going to be continuing this show now. So like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Comment down below what you want to see on this channel. I'm open to suggestions. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the future. Peace, guys.